The sun was high over the silent desert, burning the sand into golden waves. Leo adjusted the strap on his shoulder and walked toward the strange shape lying half buried in the sand. It was a crashed alien ship, twisted metal and broken glass, scattered around like bones. The crash had happened 3 days ago. Most thought nothing inside could have survived, but Leo didn't believe in leaving any place unchecked. He stepped carefully, boots crunching softly as he moved closer. The air was dry and still. The outer shell of the ship was torn open. Something about the silence felt heavy, almost too quiet. Then, he heard it, a faint voice, weak and trembling. "Help, please." Leo froze. He turned quickly toward the sound. It came from behind a piece of the collapsed wall. He rushed over and pushed away a chunk of metal. His hands got scraped, but he kept pulling until he saw her. An alien woman lay there, curled up and shaking. Her skin was pale blue with a soft, purplish tone. Her long silver hair was dusty, tangled from the crash. But what shocked Leo most was the small bundle she held close to her chest. A baby, silent and unmoving. "Don't be afraid," Leo said, kneeling. "I'm not here to hurt you." The woman opened her tired eyes. She looked weak, like she hadn't slept or eaten for days. Tears formed as she looked down at the baby. "My milk. It's dried up," she whispered. "My baby hasn't eaten in 3 days. Please, human, help her." Leo's heart ached. He had never seen an alien up close before, only on screens or from a distance. But now, here she was. Not a threat, not a soldier, just a mother, scared and desperate. He looked at the baby. Its tiny chest moved slowly, too slowly. The child was alive, but barely. "Can you walk?" he asked gently. She tried to stand but almost fell. Leo caught her, just in time. "Okay, I'll carry you." Carefully, he lifted both mother and child into his arms. The alien woman was light, much lighter than he expected. Her head rested against his shoulder. The baby didn't make a sound. Leo rushed back to his rover, a small vehicle parked a short distance away. He placed them gently inside and started the engine. As they drove across the sand, he kept checking the baby in the mirror. The little one hadn't opened her eyes once. "Do you have a name?" he asked. The woman barely nodded. "Thari. My name is Thari, and she is Saru." "I'm Leo," he replied. "Hold on. We'll be home soon." Back at his desert shelter, Leo placed them on the soft bed and brought clean water. Thari tried to drink, but her hands trembled too much. Leo helped her. Then he brought whatever food he had, fruits, soft bread, baby formula, anything. But Saru didn't take any of it. Her mouth remained closed, too weak to suck or chew. "She needs special food," Thari said, her voice breaking. "Only from my kind. She cannot eat this." Leo looked at her, confused and helpless. "What kind of food?" Thari closed her eyes. "There is a plant. Not from this world, but something similar might grow near another crash. I saw it days ago, before I passed out." Leo knew what he had to do. The child wouldn't survive much longer. He stood up, checked his rover, and loaded what he'd need for the journey. "I'll go find it," he said, determined. "Stay here. Keep her warm. I'll be back." Thari looked at him, her eyes wide with silent thanks. Leo had never imagined this would be his day, saving a mother and her baby from a world beyond his own. But he wasn't going to let them die, not while he was still breathing. Leo didn't waste a second. The desert sun was lowering, but there was no time to wait for morning. He packed water, tools, and a small energy rifle in case of danger. Then he checked his rover's power levels and left a message for Thari on his tablet before speeding off toward the old crash site she had described. The land stretched endlessly around him. Dry rocks, scattered hills, and broken remains of old alien wrecks from the first arrival years ago. Most had been picked clean by scavengers. But maybe, just maybe, this one still had what they needed. Back at the shelter, Thari cradled Saru, rocking her, slowly. Her body ached and her heart felt heavy with fear. She had already lost everything, her home, her ship, her people. Saru was all she had left. And now she had placed her last hope in the hands of a human. She whispered softly, "Please come back soon. She doesn't have much time." Meanwhile, Leo followed a rough trail. According to Thari's directions, the crash was 2 hours, northwest near a dead crater. He kept his eyes on the sky, watching for dust storms. The last one nearly took out half his solar panels. As he drove, he thought about Thari and her child. He had seen many things since humans made contact with aliens, some peaceful, some not. But he had never expected this. He had never expected to feel so protective of someone not even from his planet. After 2 hours, he spotted the sharp remains of a large ship sticking out from the sand. It looked like it had fallen hard, engines buried deep, hull broken in half. "This must be it," Leo muttered. He parked and scanned the area. The heat shimmered in the air. Pieces of broken metal and alien tech lay scattered everywhere. He started searching, moving slowly, careful not to step on anything unstable. Then he saw it, a small cluster of plants growing near a cracked piece of the engine. They had long, thin leaves and soft red bulbs, just as Thari described. But before he could reach them, his rover alarm beeped. Movement. Leo turned quickly. A security drone floated out from behind a broken wall. It was damaged, sparking slightly, but still active. Its red eye blinked and its voice crackled. "Unidentified presence detected. Stand down." Leo didn't wait. He dived behind cover as the drone fired a warning blast. The sand near his feet exploded. He grabbed his energy rifle and fired back, hitting the drone's side. It shook but stayed in the air. Leo ducked again and looked around. The drone was strong, but slow. He had 1 shot left. He waited, then rolled out and aimed straight for the drone's center. Bang! The drone fell to the ground, smoking and twitching. Breathing hard, Leo rushed to the plant. He carefully pulled out the roots and wrapped them in cloth, just as Thari told him. He packed 3 bulbs, just in case one didn't work. The wind started to pick up. A sandstorm was coming. Leo ran to his rover and jumped in. He needed to hurry. Time was running out. As he drove back, the storm followed close behind. He covered his mouth and tried to stay focused. He couldn't fail now. Back in the shelter, Thari held her baby close. Saru's breathing was soft and slow. The warmth in her tiny body was fading. Thari closed her eyes and whispered, "Please, human. Please come back." The sandstorm grew stronger as Leo pushed the rover through the desert. The wind roared like a wild beast, throwing sand in every direction. Dust filled the air, making it hard to see more than a few meters ahead. But Leo didn't stop. He held the steering tightly, eyes squinting through the storm, heart racing. Inside the rover, the plant bulbs were wrapped safely in a cloth pouch. They were small and looked simple, but they could be the difference between life and death for the baby girl waiting back at his shelter. "She has to live," Leo whispered. "I gave her my word." The wheels struggled against the soft sand. At one point, the rover tilted dangerously to one side. Leo quickly shifted the weight and adjusted the speed. The storm was testing him, but he had been in tough situations before. This time, it just meant more. A tiny life depended on him. Back at the shelter, Thari sat on the floor, her back against the wall, holding Saru close. The baby's skin was turning colder. Her small chest rose and fell like a feather in the wind. Weak, almost lifeless. Thari brushed her daughter's cheeks and whispered gently in her native tongue. Her voice trembled, and tears slid down her blue skin. "I should have protected you better. I'm sorry, Saru." She looked out the window. The storm had reached the edge of the shelter. Everything outside was now hidden in yellow and orange dust. Thari closed her eyes. She didn't know if Leo would come back, but she hoped. She prayed in silence to whatever power might be listening. Suddenly, a loud rumble shook the shelter. It wasn't thunder. It was the sound of the rover's engine. Thari's eyes opened wide. The door burst open and Leo stepped in, covered in sand from head to toe. He coughed, pulled off his mask, and held up the cloth pouch. "I found them," he shouted. "We're not too late." Thari stood with trembling legs. She reached out as Leo handed her the plant bulbs. Her hands shook as she crushed one of them with a small tool she carried. A sweet-smelling liquid came out. Quickly, she touched the liquid to the baby's lips. Nothing happened for a second. Then, a small twitch. Another drop. The baby's mouth moved slightly, then opened weakly. She made a soft sound, the first in days. "She's responding," Thari whispered. Her voice broke into a cry. "She's trying." Leo sat down on the floor, breathing hard, dust still in his hair and clothes. He watched as Thari continued to feed Saru drop by drop. The baby began to suck gently on her mother's finger where the juice had been spread. Tears rolled down Thari's cheeks. She turned to Leo. "You saved her," she said. "You saved my daughter." Leo gave a tired smile. "We both did." For the first time, the shelter felt warm. Not because of the heaters or lights, but because of something deeper. Life, hope, and trust between two beings from different worlds. As the storm howled outside, inside the small shelter, a baby slowly regained her strength. And a bond between human and alien grew stronger than either of them expected. The storm continued for 2 more hours, but inside the shelter, everything was calm. Saru, the tiny alien baby, was resting on a soft blanket beside the fire. Her breathing was slow but steady now. Her color had returned, and a faint warmth filled her body. Thari sat nearby, watching her daughter closely. Her eyes were full of emotion, relief, joy, and deep gratitude. She looked at Leo, who was sitting across the room, sipping hot water and trying to brush the dust off his jacket. "You came back," she said softly. "Even when the storm was so strong." Leo looked up and gave a small smile. "Of course, I did. I wasn't going to let her go." Thari touched her daughter's tiny hand. "Most would not have cared, but you risked everything." Leo stood and walked over to sit beside them. "She's not just your child anymore. She matters to me too now." Saru gave a tiny yawn, then slowly opened her eyes. Her gaze met Leo's for the first time. Her small mouth curved slightly. A faint smile. Thari gasped. "Did you see that?" Leo nodded. "Yeah." She smiled. It was a simple moment, but it meant everything. That small smile was a sign of life, of recovery, and of hope. For the next few days, the storm kept them inside. Leo repaired broken solar panels while Thari prepared small portions of the plant juice for Saru. The baby grew stronger each day. Her soft cries returned, followed by happy cooing when she saw her mother. Thari sang lullabies in her native language. Her voice was calm and gentle, and though Leo didn't understand the words, he felt the emotion behind them. One night, after Saru had fallen asleep, Leo sat beside Thari near the fire. "Where were you going before the crash?" he asked. Thari looked into the flames. "We were escaping war. My planet, my people. Many of us tried to leave when the fighting became too much. Some ships were lucky. Ours was not." Leo stayed quiet, listening carefully. "I thought I was going to die out there in the desert," she continued. "But then, I met a human who didn't run away." Leo looked at her. "Maybe we're not so different, Thari. We just needed a reason to trust." She nodded slowly. "You gave me that reason." They sat in silence for a while, just watching the fire crackle. The warmth between them wasn't just from the heat. It was something deeper, something born from shared struggle and care. Suddenly, Saru let out a soft cry. Thari moved quickly to pick her up. But when she reached the baby, Saru wasn't crying in pain. She was reaching out to Leo. Thari looked surprised, then smiled. "She wants you." Leo hesitated, unsure. "Me? Go ahead," Thari said kindly. He reached out and took Saru into his arms. The baby stared at him with big, curious eyes. Then she gave another smile. Bigger. This time, her tiny hand touched his face gently. Leo laughed. "Well, I guess I've been adopted. Thari laughed too, a soft sound full of joy. It seems so. That night, for the first time in many days, they all slept peacefully, a human, an alien mother, and her child, under the same roof, no longer strangers. The days passed quietly in the desert shelter. Outside, the wind still carried dust, but inside a new life had begun to grow. Saru's health improved quickly. She laughed softly now, reached for shiny objects, and held tightly to Leo's finger. With her small hand, Leo repaired more of the shelter and added stronger solar panels. He even made a small bed just for Saru, placing it beside Thari's. Thari in return helped clean, cook, and even showed Leo how to use a strange tool from her ship, something that purified water with just a drop of her planet's mineral, stone. One afternoon, while Saru was asleep, Thari and Leo sat under the small shade cover Leo had built outside. They watched the orange sky together. "Do you miss your world?" Leo asked softly. Thari nodded. "Yes, I miss the blue forests, the rivers that sing at night, and the way my people danced under twin moons." Leo listened with interest. "Sounds beautiful." She turned to him. "Do you miss anything, Leo?" Thought for a moment. "I miss the city lights, the sound of rain on metal rooftops, and the way the world felt when I was young, full of wonder before the wars." Thari lowered her eyes. "Do your people still fight?" "Sometimes," Leo admitted, "but not here, not anymore." There was a long silence. Then Thari said, "You have been more than kind, Leo. I owe you everything. But soon, others from my world may find my signal. I had activated it before I lost hope." "You think someone will come?" Leo asked. "I believe so, but I don't know who. It could be friends or strangers." Leo stood up. "Then we need to be ready." They spent the next 2 days preparing. Leo dug out his old radio equipment and boosted the signal strength in case friendly ships were nearby. Thari taught him a few basic words from her language, just enough to greet or warn depending on who arrived. One night, after checking the signal device, Leo sat beside Saru's bed. She looked up at him and gave a sleepy smile. Her tiny arms reached up until he gently picked her up. "You're stronger now," he whispered. "You're a fighter, just like your mom." Thari watched them quietly from the doorway, her heart full. She had lost so much but found something rare, someone who cared deeply without asking for anything in return. The next morning, something unexpected happened. A soft beeping came from the radio device. It was a signal, steady, repeating, and familiar to Thari. She rushed over and checked the screen. Her hands shook. "It's a rescue ship, one of our peaceful fleets." Leo stood behind her. "They're coming here?" "Yes," she nodded. "They'll arrive within a day." Leo looked at her. A strange feeling passed through his chest. He was happy they would be safe, but also sad. Saru babbled in the corner, playing with a toy Leo had made from spare wires. Thari looked at him. "You gave us life, Leo. You gave us safety, warmth, and love. I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to," he said quietly. "Just knowing she's going to live. That's enough." But in his heart, he knew something was changing. The peaceful time they shared was coming to an end, and none of them would be the same after this. The morning sun rose slowly over the desert, spreading golden light across the sand. But inside the shelter, the mood was quiet. Thari packed a small bag with a few things: her daughter's blanket, the last bit of the special plant Leo had found, and a small charm from her world. Saru sat in Leo's lap, playing with the strings of his jacket. She laughed softly, pulling on them and looking up at him with wide, happy eyes. Thari looked at them and smiled, but sadness filled her heart. "They'll be here in a few hours," she said quietly. Leo nodded. "Yeah, I heard the signal get stronger." Neither of them spoke for a while. The silence said everything. Finally, Leo asked, "Do you think they'll be kind to humans?" Thari gave a soft smile. "Some will. Some may be unsure." But when I tell them what you did for us, they'll see you with new eyes. Leo looked down at Saru. She changed me. Both of you did. Thari stepped closer. And you changed me, Leo. I came here with fear, but I'm leaving with hope. They spent the next hour just being together. Thari showed Leo more words from her language, writing them in the sand. Leo taught her how to whistle using his fingers, something that made Saru giggle with joy. It was simple, peaceful, and beautiful. Then the sound came. A distant humming in the sky. They all stepped outside and looked up. A sleek silver ship was approaching, shining in the sunlight. It slowed as it neared the shelter, then gently landed on the sand. A small door opened and a soft light shone from inside. 3 figures stepped out, tall aliens with robes and kind faces. One of them called Thari's name in her native tongue. She answered with emotion in her voice. The figures rushed forward, embracing her gently, careful not to harm the baby. One of them scanned Saru and smiled, saying she was healthy. Thari turned to Leo. Her eyes were wet. She held Saru close, then walked up to him. I want you to hold her. One last time, she said. Leo's hands trembled slightly as he took the baby. Saru smiled at him and reached for his nose, her favorite thing to grab. She loves you, Thari said. And so do I. In my own way. Leo looked into her eyes. You both became family to me. Thari took a deep breath. I have something for you. She reached into her bag and pulled out a silver bracelet with a blue stone in the center. She placed it on Leo's wrist. This is a family mark from my world, she explained. When you wear this, no one from my people will see you as a stranger. They will know you are one of us. Leo looked at the bracelet, speechless. Thank you, he finally said. She stepped back, holding Saru again. The child looked over her mother's shoulder, watching Leo with curious eyes. The group returned to the ship. Before entering, Thari turned once more. We will not forget you. Leo raised his hand in goodbye. And I'll be waiting if you ever come back. The ship's door closed. Engines hummed. Slowly it rose into the sky, becoming smaller and smaller until it vanished into the clouds. Leo stood alone in the quiet desert, but he didn't feel alone. He felt something stronger than ever before, a bond beyond worlds. Weeks passed after the alien ship left the desert. Leo returned to his quiet life, but nothing felt the same anymore. The shelter was still there, the tools were still in place, and the desert wind still whispered at night. But the laughter of a baby and the soft voice of a mother no longer filled the air. Every morning, Leo checked the sky. Part of him hoped he'd see that silver ship return. Just once, even for a visit. But each day passed in silence. Still, he kept the shelter clean and ready, just in case. One evening, while fixing a broken sensor tower, Leo heard a strange beep from the radio unit inside. He rushed in, hoping it was another signal, and it was. But this time it wasn't a rescue message or a warning. It was a broadcast. A voice came through, clear and familiar. This is Thari of the Alari people. The message began, her voice steady but filled with feeling. I send this message across the stars to all who will listen, humans and non-humans alike. Leo sat down, heart pounding. I was saved by a human, she continued. A man named Leo. He had no reason to help me. No order. No promise of reward. But he carried me and my child from the edge of death back to life. There was a pause. He found food when I had none. He protected us from danger. He gave us warmth, safety, and kindness. And when we were strong enough to leave, he let us go without asking for anything. Leo's hands tightened around the bracelet on his wrist, the family mark she had left him. My people have often feared humans, Thari said. But I now speak as someone who owes her life to one. Leo, if you hear this, we remember you. We carry your story back to our world, and you are no longer just a man of Earth. You are family. The message ended. Leo sat in silence, his eyes fixed on the stars beginning to appear in the sky above the shelter. He didn't cry, but his chest felt heavy, full of emotions he couldn't name. Later that night, he stepped outside and looked at the stars. One of them blinked, just for a second, a small flicker of light far, far away. Maybe it was just a star, or maybe it was them. From that day forward, Leo kept the shelter not as a lonely outpost, but as a place of peace, a place where, if anyone lost in the stars ever needed help, they could find it here. He wrote a small note above the door. No matter your world, you are welcome. Months. Later others came, travelers, explorers, even one or two Ilari. Each time they came, they saw the silver bracelet on Leo's wrist and bowed with respect. They had heard the message. The story had spread, and all of them knew one thing. The human who helped an alien mother and her baby had started something bigger than he ever imagined. In a galaxy full of fear and war, his simple act of kindness had become a light, a story, passed from ship to ship, planet to planet. The kind of story that reminded everyone what made humans special.